Good afternoon, my name is Robin Taube and I'm the author of A Parent's Guide to Raising Money Smart Kids. I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about being a good financial role model for your kids. So the session is designed to be interactive and we have about an hour or so together, so please, I'd be happy to take your questions as we go along, and I'll also save some time at the end for a Q&A. And because I'd appreciate having your undivided attention, I'll give out copies of the slides at the end of the presentation along with some other worksheets and templates. So today we're going to focus on understanding what kind of financial role model you are and how you can teach your kids by example. And we'll give you some worksheets to help you. Teaching your kids about money at an early age builds a foundation for the knowledge, skills, and confidence that they'll need throughout their lives to make responsible financial decisions. As a parent, you're the best person to teach them about money. And according to a recent survey of youth aged 16 to 22 conducted by the CICA, 93% said they want their parents to be good financial role models. But it's very difficult to do if your own financial house isn't in order. A woman I know, let's call her Elaine, comes to mind. Elaine's a recreational shopper. She's always buying things for herself or the house or her kids, and though her husband does not approve and has spoken to her about it, she cannot seem to stop. Actually, she's recently started sneaking her shopping bags into the house. The interesting thing is the effect that this has on her daughter, who's a friend of my daughter's. I recently took the girls to Yorkdale, and while we were driving there, Elaine's daughter told me that she couldn't wait to go shopping because the money was burning a hole in her pocket. It makes you wonder where she heard that expression. At the other end of the spectrum, I'd like to tell you about two moms who have modeled completely different behavior with a website that they created. It's called EcoAge, and here's how it works. When your kids are planning a birthday party, you send out evites and you ask guests to contribute money online in lieu of gifts. When the party's over, EcoAge sends half the money collected to buy a dream gift for your child and the other half to a charity your child has chosen. It's easy for parents and guests, it's good for the environment, and it's meaningful for kids because it allows them to experience philanthropy at a young age. So today we're going to talk about why teaching kids about money is important, the goal and challenges of raising money smart kids, characteristics of a good financial role model, 10 healthy habits of financial management, and how to set financial goals. And we'll wrap up with a Q&A. But before I dive in, I want to set the broad context on financial literacy in Canada and why the CICA is interested in helping Canadians improve their levels of financial literacy. In 2009, Canada's Task Force on Financial Literacy was formed to provide recommendations to the Minister on a national strategy to strengthen the financial literacy of Canadians. And the task force defines financial literacy as having the knowledge, skills, and confidence to make responsible financial decisions at every life stage. The CICA recently commissioned research about Canada's level of financial literacy, and the results were consistent with the findings and recommendations of the task force. They were a wake-up call. Canadians need to improve their financial literacy skills. It's critical to Canadian prosperity and economic growth. It's much more than a nice-to-have skill. It's really a necessity in today's world. Now, most Canadians believe responsible money management is an important life skill and one that should be taught to kids. As chartered accountants, we know about money. Advising people and businesses about their money is what we do. So the CICA and our members across the country are uniquely positioned to help Canadians improve their levels of financial literacy, and we're taking a proactive approach by delivering seminars such as these. So let's talk about our goal as parents. We all want to raise kids that are happy, healthy, successful adults who can manage their lives independently for their sake as well as our own. If we don't succeed in teaching them about money, it may come back to haunt us. How would you feel, for instance, if you had to support your adult children financially? or if you had to bail them out of a financial mess with savings that you had put aside for your own retirement. And what if this happened when you were supposed to be enjoying those carefree years? It's not a pretty picture, is it? Now, those are the consequences for us as parents, but what about the kids themselves? If you've ever struggled with financial problems that were brought on by bad habits or just not knowing how to manage money well, you know what a negative impact that can have on your life and your relationships with the people around you. And that's something that we really don't want for our kids. So let's take a look at some of the common challenges parents face when teaching their kids about money. Our research shows that although 78% of parents have tried to teach their kids about money, the majority do not feel particularly successful at it. And there are a variety of reasons why. One of the main reasons is that they think their kids are too young or they're not interested. But there are lots of ways to engage younger children with money. The challenge is to make it fun and to make it relevant for them, to put it into terms that they can relate to. Although it may not feel like a priority when your kids are young, these early years are an important time to lay the foundation and teach the basics. When you earn money, you have 4 choices as to what to do with it. You can save it, spend it, donate it, and invest it. The concepts are the same as your kids get older, but the stakes get much higher. It's better if they can learn from their mistakes when the stakes are low. So at what age did you notice your kids becoming interested in money? How did you know? What kinds of questions did they ask you? Other challenges that parents face are lack of knowledge, lack of time, and lack of opportunity, or not always recognizing when an opportunity does present itself. So look for teachable moments in your everyday lives, things like going grocery shopping or using your credit card at a restaurant or going to the mall. Even planning a birthday party is an opportunity to provide financial lessons around budgeting and sharing. Teaching your kids how to manage money is particularly hard if you're not good at it yourself. It's actually embarrassing. And it becomes really easy just to avoid the conversation altogether, especially when you're running a busy household. So a lot of parents procrastinate. What if your kids are already teenagers, but you've never taught them about money? Is it too late? Well, I don't think it's ever too late to learn a new skill or to learn how to do things better. But you're going to approach it differently with teenagers than you would with younger kids because they are more mature and sophisticated. So what kind of a financial role model do you think you are? Have you ever even thought about it? Well, you should, because your kids are watching and learning from you. So are you the type of person who's cautious and deliberate with their spending? Or do you put large purchases on your credit card and worry about paying for them later? Do you pay your bills on time and keep organized files? Or do you stash them on top of your fridge and kind of forget about them? So here's a question. Who here would rather talk to their kids about sex than money? Are you afraid that your kids may ask you some embarrassing questions like, are we rich? Or how much money do you make? Or how much is our mortgage? Or my particular favorite, my son asked my husband, Dad, did you have a good quarter? So the answers to these questions are private family matters and probably not something that you want to share with the whole world. So you have to keep in mind your child's age and maturity when you answer them. But try not to make money a taboo subject in your home. According to the CICA survey that I mentioned earlier, parents who are most successful at teaching financial management skills talk to their teenagers about the family's financial situation and how they manage their own money. If your kids ask, find an answer that's honest, one that stresses confidentiality and trust, and one that's only as detailed as you think is appropriate. The discussion can often take place by dealing with general concepts rather getting into specific numbers. Talking about living within your means, budgeting, saving for important goals should be discussed openly, and it should be discussed often. The survey also shows that teenagers are aware of both positive and negative financial management activities performed in the home. How well parents manage their own money influences the financial optimism of their children. So with that in mind, I want you to take 5 minutes and complete a self-assessment survey to help you find out where you stand as a financial role model. So we're going to give those exercises out right now. So how did you feel about the results? Did you learn anything new about yourself and your money behavior? Everyone is at a different place, and even if you're doing very well as a role model, most of us can always improve in some ways, me included. Just ask my kids. Now let's talk about the 10 healthy habits of financial management. Doing these things regularly models good financial behavior for your kids. The first one is to know where you stand financially. And that basically means having a good understanding of your net worth, everything that you own minus everything that you owe, and the household cash flow. So everything that comes in less everything that goes out. Doing these things can provide a sense of control and hopefully some peace of mind if you do them on a regular basis. And living within your means is arguably the most important lesson that we can teach our children. And the best way to teach this is to actually live this way, to walk the talk. And to make sure that you can't spend more than you make, follow the third healthy habit, which is to pay yourself first. So the idea of paying yourself first is to set aside money on a regular basis directly from your paycheck to a designated savings account. And making it automatic takes the self-discipline out of the equation. This can be just a regular savings account, it can be a registered retirement savings plan, or even a tax-free savings account. The money that you are taking away and setting aside, at first it seems like a lot, but you will get used to living without that money, and then eventually you won't even notice. And what does remain is what you use to pay your household budget. First, you're tackling your overhead expenses, and then your discretionary spending. Next is understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt. So good debt is debt that is used to purchase an asset, like your mortgage on your house or student loans for a university education. Those are things that have the potential to go up in value, that add to your net worth. And bad debt is the opposite. It's incurred to purchase something that essentially loses its value almost immediately. It's just a good that you consume. Examples are furniture or big screen TV, anything like that that does not really add to your net worth. And those are the kinds of things that you really should save up for. You don't want to put purchases like that on credit, because if you don't have a plan to repay it quickly, it just ends up costing you so much more at the end of the day when you take into account the interest. So the fifth healthy habit is to set up a financial safety net. And this will protect your family in case of a financial emergency. Experts say you should ideally have a cushion of savings to see you through 6 months, because that's how long it may take to get a new job in your field if you are laid off. And a safety net also includes adequate insurance coverage, so disability, life, automobile, health, homeowners insurance, all those things. The sixth healthy habit is to know the difference between needs and wants. People may want a new car or bigger house or fancy clothes, but they don't need them. Think carefully before you spend on a want if it's going to come at the expense of paying for a need. And before deciding to make a purchase, stop and ask yourself, do I really need this, or would it just be nice to have? And get your kids to do the same thing. You'd be surprised at what an impact that simple question can make. Teaching delayed gratification and setting values-based financial goals is one of the best ways to fight entitlement, or a sense of entitlement that your kids may have. And there was a famous psychological study that was done on young kids called the marshmallow test. And it was done to show the effect of impulse control and willpower on academic, emotional, and social success. So a group of 4-year-olds were given a marshmallow, And they were told that they could have one marshmallow right away, but if they could wait several minutes, they could have two. So some kids grabbed the marshmallow immediately and ate it. Other kids covered their eyes so they wouldn't be tempted by it, and one kid even licked the table around the marshmallow to just get a sensation of eating the marshmallow without actually eating it. So they followed these kids over 14 years, and what the researchers found was that the group that grabbed and just ate the marshmallow right away suffered from lower self-esteem and were perceived by others as prone to envy and easily frustrated. The waiters, the ones who waited for the second marshmallow, they coped better and were more socially competent and self-assertive, trustworthy, dependable, and more academically successful. So the lesson is that strong willpower and impulse control will help us stay on task and meet our goals throughout our lives, and it's a very important life skill. And whether it translates to studying instead of watching TV or putting money in your RSP instead of spending it today, willpower and impulse control is really a very important financial habit. When you're setting goals, there's a far greater chance of success if they're tied to your values. So I'm going to come back to values-based goal setting a little bit later. So the 8th habit is to track your spending. And this is important because it helps you understand where the money's going and where there may be opportunities to spend less and save. It's also a great reality check because you may be shocked to learn that your actual spending bears little resemblance to how you think you're spending your money. And writing everything down is also a powerful motivator to make better spending choices. So you can do it however you're comfortable, use a spending journal, software, or even an app on your smartphone. And then you can use the information that you've gathered to tweak your budget. So the 9th healthy habit is to save now for your children's education using an RESP. Even if you can only afford a small amount, start as soon as you can to let time and compounding work for you. Setting up an RESP and contributing it to it monthly will enable you to take advantage of the government grants, which is 20% on the first $2,500 annually, and can be even higher for lower and middle income families. So earnings can grow tax-free for up to 25 years or until the funds are withdrawn. And then finally, present a united money front. Do you and your spouse generally present a united front about finances? If the family has shared values, then you can work as a team and pull in the same direction to reach your financial goals. Remember, kids learn by what they see you do, and that is a much more powerful it's much more powerful for them than any advice that you could give. So at this point, I just wanted to ask if anybody has any other healthy habits that they follow in their lives that I haven't discussed that you might want to share with others here, any best practices. Great. So now we're going to talk about goal setting. And as I said earlier, goal setting is a critical element of successful money management. And here are some tips. First, put your goals in writing. People who write down their goals feel more committed to them and are more likely to succeed. And you can review written goals with others, and you can also monitor your progress. And success may inspire you to continue with the financial planning process. Second, use your values to set meaningful goals. Values are the things in life that are most important to you, the things that you're willing to take a stand for. And even just looking around the room, you can get a sense for what people value by the way they dress and how they spend their money or how they interact with others. Values are intangible, but they're not invisible to others. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to hand out an exercise called a values validator that will help you discover what your values are. And this is something that you can have your spouse or your child do as well. And if you leave the answers out, it's something that you can discuss as a family, and that will keeping your values in front of you really reminds you about what's most important and the things that you're committed to. So when setting goals, The more detail you have, the better you can plan for it, and the more likely that the goal will become a reality. So you've probably seen the SMART goals acronym before. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-framed. And I thought that we could, if somebody here has an example they'd like to share, we could work through that using this framework. Or if not, I'm happy to give an example of what I mean. So a specific goal would be, my spouse and I want to go on a month-long vacation to Australia. A measurable goal is, I'm going to need $5,000 for flight, accommodations, and food. An action-oriented goal is, I'm going to research reasonably priced hotels online and work with a specialized travel agent. A realistic goal is, I'll travel in the off-season and save $400 a month for the next year. Knowing your limits and financial capabilities will determine whether your goal is realistic or not. And finally, a time frame goal is, I want to go to Australia next May, which gives me more than a year to save my money. Setting the time you want to go helps determine whether or not you'll be able to achieve your goal. Putting all of these elements together, you have the SMART goal. And I'll also give out a goal-setting worksheet to help you and your children, possibly your teenage children, set goals like these. So to wrap up, I wanted to summarize the key messages today. As a parent, you're the most important financial role model. The best way to raise money-smart kids is to be smart with money yourself. Parents who are most successful at teaching financial management skills talk to their kids about the family's finances and how they manage their own money. Kids who learn about money from a young age have a better chance of becoming financially responsible adults. So I mentioned earlier the worksheets that we're providing for you. So there'll be a goal-setting worksheet, the role model self-assessment, and the values validator. And to help you with your teaching, there are a range of resources that are available. And here are just a few that we recommend. The first is Parent's Guide to Raising Money Smart Kids, which is available through castore.ca/moneysmartkids. The second is the CICA's Financial Decisions Matter website. There's also another companion module in this series called How to Teach Your Kids About Money. There are resources provided by the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy of Canada, which are quite useful. And the Manitoba Securities Commission also has some resources specifically for parents called Make It Count. And then finally, the Investor Education Fund has a comprehensive set of resources on personal finance and investing. So that's everything. I hope that I've been able to give you the information that you need to be a good financial role model for your kids. And at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Thank you.